Hello everyone, this is Gurkan Çakır's YouTube channel. Today's topic is transfer of shares in joint stock companies. Basically, joint stock companies can issue two types of shares under Turkish law, namely registered shares and bearer shares. In principle, both registered and bearer shares can be transferred freely without being subject to any restrictions. However, there are various exceptions to this rule. As the name implies, the owner of the bearer share is the person who holds them in his possession. Consequently, it is possible to transfer the bearer shares simply by delivering its possession to transferee. It is not mandatory to register the bearer shares to the share ledger. If not registered, it is impossible for the company to prohibit or limit the transfer of the bearer shares. In principle, even the registered shares can be transferred without being subject to any restrictions. On the other hand, there are some exceptions to this general rule. Some of the exceptions are found in the Commercial Code itself. Also, transfer restrictions can be foreseen in the Articles of Association, provided that they are stipulated in express wording. Unless the approval of the company has been taken, the registered shares that were not fully paid cannot be transferred. The joint stock company's power to approve or reject the transfer cannot be used arbitrarily. The company can abstain from approving the transfer of unpaid registered shares only if there is reasonable doubt regarding the solvency of the new owner and the collateral asked by the company was not provided. It can be stipulated in the Articles of Association that its registered shares, regardless of being paid up or not, can only be transferred upon the approval of the joint stock company. In case the company that has a limitation in its Articles of Association goes into liquidation, such limitation will lose its grounds and it will be possible to transfer its shares without taking the approval. The company may refuse to give its approval in case of an important reason if this is expressly stated in Articles of Association. Unlike limited liability company, it is not permissible to put a complete ban on a transfer of shares in a joint stock company. Turkish Commercial Code has not granted the joint stock company an unlimited discretion in its right to avoid approving the transfer of shares. It is possible to stipulate in the Articles of Association that when a shareholder wants to sell his shares, other shareholders who have been granted a right of first refusal will be able to buy such shares before third parties. The bearer shares of a joint stock company can be freely transferred by merely delivering their possession to the transferee. Even though it's not mandatory, a joint stock company can issue share certificates. When there is no share certificate, a written share transfer agreement must be made between the seller and the purchaser. The transfer of shares must then be registered in the share ledger. Transfer of shares may trigger various types of taxes, such as income tax, corporate tax, value-added tax and stamp duty depending on certain variables. There are certain exemptions as well.